Hey folks, welcome back. It's week number 5 of our video series. So this week we're going to be talking about ball position and how ball position is going to affect your alignment, and also how ball position is going to affect your start line. So before we get into the content, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and get ready, because this could potentially change a lot of things in your golf game. So when we're talking about ball position, we really have to understand that any changes in ball position, in our stance, in our the way that we're addressing the ball, is going to change ball flight, but it's also going to change the attack angle that we have. And so it can also change the shot shape that we're going to play. So first thing I want to talk about is ball position. When we adjust ball position, we want to see, typically, again, some people change a little bit, but typically we would see shorter wedges, 9-iron, pitching wedge, 8-iron, from about the middle of the stance. Sometimes people will play 7-iron from the middle of the stance. 7-iron tends to be that club that sometimes we can move a little further forward and not see too much of a change. But typically around 8-iron, 7-iron is where we'll see middle of the stance. 6-iron, 5-iron, 4-iron, we'll see a little further forward in the stance. And then we get to our hybrids, woods, and drivers, where we'll see the ball played a little further forward in the stance again, and maybe more towards that lead foot. But understanding that when we change ball position from this front-on view, we're going to see a difference in trajectory. Okay, and what I mean by that is, if I typically play my 8-iron from the middle of my stance, my attack angle is going to be down on the ball. Okay, you can see the handle of the club is in front of the club head, and I'm going to be hitting down on it, and it's going to have its normal trajectory, let's say. If I go ahead and move that maybe 2 inches further forward in my stance, maybe where I would play maybe a 6-iron, a 5-iron, or a 4-iron from, that means that when I come in to attack the ball, the handle of the club isn't as far forward as it was when it was from the middle of the stance. So what that's meaning, my attack angle is going to be a little shallower, the club face is going to have a little more loft. When I make contact with the ball, it's going to come out higher, okay? So we can change the trajectory of the shot based on what club we're using and where we place it in the stance. When we think of playing with an iron, we typically see that the low point of the swing, what I mean by low point is if we take a golf ball and we bring the iron down on the golf ball, the low point in the swing is typically after contact. So let me just talk about this with a visual representation with the alignment sticks. If I do my normal swing with an 8-iron and I swing down on the ball, again, we hit down on irons, okay? This is not the low point in the swing. The low point is actually going to be past the golf ball, okay? When we talk about the low point, we have to understand that if we change the ball position, the low point is going to change with it. So if I use my driver as an example, when we have the driver further forward in the stance, here, I've got it maybe a couple inches inside that lead heel, and I make my downswing in, my low point is actually before the ball, and then it starts to travel up. With an iron, we could see that I'm swinging down with my downward attack angle, and I'm going to be hitting down on the ball. My low point is going to be past the ball. But like I say, with a driver, low point is typically below before the ball, and then obviously it starts to work up as we make contact. A lot less face angle on the driver, with this one being 9 degrees. Obviously, it's going to have a lot less angle or loft on it as compared to an 8-iron. Now, if I switch to a down the line view, and I show you with an 8-iron, not a driver, we've talked about attack angle, obviously downward attack angle with irons, upward attack angle with a driver. Let's say I'm playing an 8-iron from the middle of my stance. When I swing an iron and I've got this downward attack angle, my club is working down towards the ground, but notice how it's slightly moving out to the right of the alignment stick. Okay, again, where we're meeting this in what's called the swing plane is earlier in the swing plane, the club is still working out to the right at this point. And then as it starts to get past my body, obviously it's going to start to move back left as it rotates. If we talk about adjusting ball position, I'm going to take my 8-iron from the middle of my stance and I'm going to move it up to maybe where I play my 6-iron. When I do that now, I'm going to be meeting this swing, even though I'm meeting the ball, even though I'm swinging down on it still like I would with an iron, I'm meeting it later in the swing. So realistically, what's happening here is I'm starting to move left. And so you can see as the club works in, it's going to start to move left. So the more I move the ball forward with my 8-iron, the more I'm going to be meeting it later in the swing. Later in the swing plane means it's going to start to move left. Why that would be a big thing to understand is because if I'm trying to hit a shot down the right-hand side, but I have the ball off the front foot or closer to the front foot, I need to understand that it's going to start further left. The reason why is because I'm just meeting it later in the swing. Now, what that can do is a couple of different things. If we're meeting it later in the swing, it's going to start further left. With an iron, it might not change it too much in terms of fade, so it may just stay further left. So if you're hitting a little bit of a pull, just check your ball position with your irons, because you may find that you've got a little too far forward, it's starting to the left. If we're hitting it with a driver and we're seeing these big kind of slices, a couple of things that we're looking at here, ball position can be very impactful, especially if we're meeting it later in the swing. We're swinging further left. Again, it's going to start further left. Body's really good and the brain is really good at saying, well, hang on a minute, if I'm going to start it further left, why don't I just weaken my grip off and I can leave the club face open even more. So all of a sudden now we can start to see that, oh, I'm going to swing further left, I'll leave my club face even more open, I'm going to start it further left but get more slice out of it or more kind of fade spin out of it. So whenever we're talking about ball position, we want to be consistent. And so if we did, like we talked about with the driver from this face-on view, just inside that lead heel, couple of inches, now I've got my ball position, I can take my grip and I can be consistent here. And I can notice what's happening with my ball flight on the driving range. Again, if I'm starting to see that it's starting too far to the right, too far to the left, let's just check the ball position. Okay, let's just see, where is it? If I've got it right here, and I'm hitting it well, it's starting well, then I know that I've got the right ball position for me, okay? If I'm starting to notice that it's a little too far to the right, just check your ball position because it might be a little far back, and obviously I'm meeting it earlier in the swing. If I'm hitting it too far to the left, maybe I've just got it a little too far forward, and I'm meeting it later in the swing, okay? So you can check your ball position really quick here. If you start to notice that there's a few other areas coming out low or it's coming out high, you can obviously check the ball position again just to say, okay, am I meeting it earlier or later in the swing? So whether you're playing a driver or whether you're checking this with an iron, have a look at your ball position. Understand that when you start moving the ball position, the trajectory is going to change from a height perspective, but also from a start line perspective. Those are two things that you need to understand when it comes to alignment. Ball position and making sure that we're being consistent as possible with it. Couple of alignment sticks here, you can put them down as a T like I've done here, or change it a little bit for whatever you need for where the ball is actually starting. These ones are really cool because you have kind of 5 little grids on there where it has lines. You can put the ball in the middle and obviously change it and adjust it based on what you need, and it can help give you a visual of what it looks like to practice. So use your alignment sticks, practice that. Go ahead and leave any comments down below or questions down below and we'll answer them. We will see you in next week's video for week number 6.